Hey recyclers, I'm Becky Barabee from United Catalyst Corporation. Recently, Big Al and I were on the Auto Recyclers Experience podcast with Chris Douglas and Chad Councilman from Auto Partnered Solutions. The content was excellent. There's so much there that I want to share with you about converter recycling. Whether you're new to auto catalyst recycling or been doing it for years, assay or by the piece, there's just some great content. Listen to the end, and then if there's anything we can help you with, stay tuned for some of our products and services. Thanks.
Ultimately, though, I think one of the key things here from an industry perspective is that we need to keep on looking for ways to extract extra value and harvest more value of every vehicle that we're buying. Okay. We're seeing, and the discussions we're having with a lot of people in the US at the minute, a lot of recyclers in the US, is that, the price of salvage, and in Australia and New Zealand, it's no different. The price of salvage has increased during COVID. There is no doubt about it. We've got some figures here where salvage has gone to 12, 13 years ago type of values, right? So cost of goods is increasing. Ultimately, to make money in the business, can you charge your customer more? Well, to a degree, but that, you hit a ceiling there. But ultimately, you want to be as cost competitive as possible so you can sell as many parts as possible. The best way to do it, in my view, is to be able to harvest more value off every vehicle, whether that's an extra part per vehicle or, extra value out of things like your scrap and your precious metals. So I think having you guys on today has been really, really good for everyone.
I agree. It's like, can be like a lifeline. That extra income that you can get from having 2 to 4 catalytic converters on your vehicle can just be a way to stay cash positive for recyclers, and just, like I said, a lifeline during a time where maybe you're selling a lot more parts, but your cost of goods has gone up 10, 12, 13%.
Yeah.
No.
So we actually formed United Catalyst Corporation. We just fell into it. It wasn't what we planned on doing with our life. We were in our 20s when we started, almost 27 years ago. Tim and I founded United Catalyst Corporation. And it wasn't until 10 years ago or 7 years ago that we really realized that the recycler was getting the short end of the stick when it came to converter recycling. It was really my job to call on all those catalytic converter processors and get them to send business in large volumes based on recovery. And then it just hit me that assay was for everyone. That assay was for the recycler. There's only one way to recycle a scrap catalytic converter, and you all that buy the cars, you own the commodity. And we know that it goes from being an automotive part to a precious metals commodity, and you guys really you weren't at the table. Until about 10 years ago, we really flipped the industry on its head. Chad, you were one of the first people in our industry to work with us. And we took assay to the street, so to speak, and that's what we're still doing today.
So can I just probe a little bit on assay? You mentioned assay, and I'm not sure how many of the people on the call would understand what assay is. Can you explain that? Because, let me give you a bit of context about the Australian market. Generally speaking, we still have a lot of people going out to automotive recyclers, and they turn up with a wad of cash and say, we're going to pay you X dollars for these cats that you've laid out on the ground, right? So they say, I'll give you an average $100 per cat, for example. So you got 100 cats, $100 per cat. It's a bit of money. So what is assay? How does that compare?
So it's selling on the scientific method, right? So when you give me one of those, yeah. I mean, when you go into a yard and you've got a converter, it's subjective, right? I could tell you that this is worth 80 US or Australian. It could be worth 600. It's subjective. It's whatever I call it. You have to agree to sell it to me on. That's nickel on the barrel head, that's spot pricing, greenbacks, great. But what if you're leaving 20, 30, 40% on the table? And the only way to know the value of this unit and all of your units is to destroy them, to take the catalyst, to grind it into a fine powder, to scientifically sample it, and then go through the testing process of determining how much platinum, palladium, and rhodium is in this unit, or the combination of all your units. So if it was daytime here, we could walk through the plant and you could see, you're seeing our lab where we have an in-house testing ability to test units. But there's a whole, we're dismantling, right? We're a disassembly facility, but we're a very scientific one.
Okay.
I want to touch on that just a second, Becky, because you said 10 years ago I was one of the first users to kind of lock in and use the assay method and use you specifically to do the assay for us. And what I realized was 10 years ago, my cat buyer that was coming by and paying in green cash, he showed up in a brand new Dodge Crew Cab Dually diesel truck. And he showed up in that new truck and I was like, it's a nice truck, you know, and it really got me to questioning, you know, I started really running numbers on what he was paying me for those cats, you know, and I was getting $30 per cat on average at the time. And it just, you know, he's driving this brand new truck and it just hit me, you know, what's going on? I need to double check that he's being honest with me. And I'm going to send my next load to Becky to do a load. And I picked you to send a load to you. And shipped a load to you, and I got paid on average about $100 per cat on that very first load, and we were at $30, and I realized then that guy I had trusted for 20 years to sell my cats, and he came by once a month, and I sold the cats, and he was an old fella, and I just trusted him. He was not paying me what the stuff was worth, and at the time the market had just gone way up, and he was still paying me what I was used to getting, you know, and that's when my eyes were opened to what's really going on out there. And so that's just a tidbit, Chris, to give you a little background on the relationship between me and Becky there.
We've got a comment here from a gentleman, but he's got initials LB, Laurie Beecham. So Laurie's made a comment here that I've been working with Becky or Beck for years, exporting my cats to her. The other value for Aussies is the extra you get by the power of the US dollar. I could never recommend an entity higher than I could UCC. My last sale of 260 cats netted me $57,000 with export costs of $4,600. Regards, Laurie Beecham, G Parts Recycler. So Laurie, thanks for that. Really appreciate the openness. Right, so that's 260 cats, $57,000.
We do a high volume on a skinny margin. But the thing is that we really show you what is coming back from refining.
Yes.
We really, so like if the refiner gives back 10 grand for that box or, you know, whatever it is, you're getting 90-something% of it back to you. So you can see what we make very transparently in our process.
Yep.
And you could take us to court or the bank or whichever way you want to go based on the results we show you. But not everyone adds back the dust, right? There's so many ways that you could be tricked on assay. We found that we got out there about 7 years ago and started evangelizing this process. But we know that just like you can be taken advantage of selling whole units, without a partner you can trust, you could equally be taken advantage of on assay. We could keep your dust. We could skim your assay. We could go to jail for those things. I mean, really, there's been FBI stings. They're not, that's not cool to do that. But what I'm saying is you still need a partner that you can trust who does what they say that they're doing, and they're willing to validate it and show you third-party validation that this is what was in your converters.
And I used Becky there for consistently for 3 or 4 years. And then I said, I'm going to try somebody else and just see what kind of returns I get. And I'm a numbers guy. I had this huge, elaborate spreadsheet looking at parts per million, my returns I'm getting, looking at the fees they're charging. And I broke everything down. I went to 2 or 3 other different companies to do assay for me, and ended up coming back to Becky because I realized that what she was doing was resulting in more cash in my pocket or more ounces in Johnson Matthey, however it was, after I was running all the numbers and putting together the whole big spreadsheet and tracking every bit of it. And so I've been down that road. I've tried 2 or 3 other loads, getting other assays done, and come back to Becky. And so I just, speaking from past experience.
But we check the value and we maintain your chain of custody from the moment it hits our door to the time it comes through refining, including witnessing at the refiner. We've just added that layer. And so we balance all of the weight that you send us to 1/2 of 1% in and out of our plant. And that means your bubble wrap, your packaging, your skid, your caged container, your Gaylord, the dust. I mean, dust, let me just mention that the dust is so valuable, right? I mean, it's the coating, whether it's, you can hear me, yeah. I mean, what happens, right, is we end up with this, right? It's a powder that we're bringing your catalyst down into. But even on the decanning, the dust is so valuable. It could be like 1% or less than 1% of your weight, but it could be 5, 10, 15, 20% of the value of your converters. So we have only one dust collector per machine that we disassemble, so that we can take your dust and we reintroduce it back into your load, so that that really precious part is still contained within your material.
Right, so
it's just, we call it the chain of custody.
That goes to the next question. Peter Butler, he's in New Zealand actually, and he asked a question: from this far away, are we better to send the cats complete, or are we better to be decanning them first? And your answer kind of sounds like we need to send the cats complete, unless we have a dust collection system that we're using to decan them, because the dust is so valuable.
We'd love to help you vet your dust collection system. We do usually discourage, Chad, you visited us, and now we're in a new facility just recently. We try to keep it like a pharmaceutical grade, right? So that you could, like, really, I don't know if you could eat off the floors. That'd be a little too far.
I would eat off the floor there. I've been through the place, and she made the comment about the skids and the plastic wrap and all being saved. And I'm walking around, it's like, why do you have this piled up right here on a scale, you know? And he said, well, we have to weigh the skid and weigh the plastic wrap to know how much that weighed, so we know exactly what that portion was on the inbound load. And it just surprised me, the detail that they're going to validate every single, I mean, down to the 1/2 of a pound. You know, they're measuring everything that goes in and out of that place, so they get it all correct for us. And so it's my eyes were opened to the whole process whenever I toured their plant back in November of last year. Good question, Becky and Al. So you basically said if a cat has an O2 sensor in top and bottom, then it is probably more valuable than a cat that only has one O2 sensor. Is that what you're telling me?
Correct. But
Can I show you an example?
If they put that O2 sensor directly, if you notice a Honda, they put them right in the middle of a converter. They're only protecting the front biscuit. They're not protecting the rear biscuit. There is no O2 sensor behind it. So that converter right in front of the O2 sensor, flowing down from the motor, the exhaust, how it flows into it. They'll put an O2 sensor between the two biscuits. They'll be like this. This biscuit in the forward section is going to do all the work. It has a fraction of a time. This is going to be the cleanup biscuit that just couldn't finish the job. And your loadings are usually higher in the forward biscuits of anything. Your loadings are better in any converter that's close to the manifold. Even though they may be smaller, it's better.
Can I show you an example? Maybe this is not really.
Please, absolutely.
This is a Subaru. It's located up on the engine, close to the motor, very close. Got an O2 sensor in it on the other side. And it does have a number for you people. Right there. That is the number of that converter. That can,
shell.
Yeah, it's right on the shell. There is no number on the body of the catalytic converter, but the shell, which will not fall off very easy because we remove them to take pictures to ID them, and it didn't come off very easy on this one. That converter has a yield of around $678. It is only a pound of material. It is only this size inside that brick. So that goes to show you, they've made the converter smaller, brought them closer to the engine. The engine bolts to the other side with that stud that you're seeing stick up way up forward. So it does a lot of work for a little tiny converter. And I'm sure you guys have a lot of Subarus down there.
We didn't just show the Subaru on purpose. It just happened to be a good value.
You just like blew my mind. So I could actually be throwing away what I think is a muffler, throwing it into the crush car and crushing it, when in fact it's got a cat built into this device that looks like a muffler.
Yes.
Well, this is a good point. We would love to have you like in our community, and we're thinking about starting a closed Facebook group. for those people who just want to like ask questions like that, where we can do a little bit of research and get back to folks with the answers. I mean, I know there's a lot of Facebook communities out there for parts and cats, but we want to have a place where people in our program can kind of get a leg up and ask us things like, what are the best models of cars for me to be buying at auction? Well, that would be something, being part of our program, that we would love to provide that kind of information to people that are in the program that could kind of give them an advantage at auction. Those are the kind of tools that we think about. We have others, but I'm not going to say them. I'm not going to talk about our future products yet.
Can we just give a little hint?
This is a Bosel.
Yeah.
But Bosel makes for OE and they make aftermarket. So if you're selling this, more to the point, if you're selling this for $20 as an aftermarket, I've had some of the, we do production scrap for the, for the manufacturers. So we'll take their off spec or all their inventory at the end of a year that they're going to destroy, and we'll run it. This could end up being $67. It could, depending on the application. This could also be an aftermarket that's $167, and you may have just sold it in your yard for 20 bucks.
Yeah. So it's not.
So without assay, without destroy. See, the beauty of assay is when you destroy them all and you homogenize them and you sample them properly and you sell them on the recovery, you're getting all the metal that's in all the cats, regardless of what they look like. So.
Yeah. Okay. So for yards across here, New Zealand, UK, wherever they are, is it like, should they get at least 200, 300 cats together before they, do anything with you, for example, or what's?
100 minimum, a Gaylord, a skid. You can participate. We wanted to make it because we do have the ability to process small batches here without commingling them and getting a full assay, fire assay with an ICP finish. We can do that for down to 100 converters. I mean, we can do it for one converter. And the thing is if you're sending in a skid and you want us to test, one of the things we'll do is spray paint it. You want to know what that Honda, that Toyota is coming in at, that Mercedes, whatever, the Prius, some Priuses, first generations are worth a lot of money. If we don't have it in our database already, we're happy to test it for you here in our laboratory and shoot you a value. So you can be in touch with us. You could be in touch with us every day of the week and we would answer your questions and look up your converter question. I mean, not trying to busy our team to like ad nauseum, but that's what we produce. We have lookups and things you can do. Shy of an app. Everyone wants an app.
Yeah, I know.
Let's just talk about, can we talk about apps for just a second? We have been like 5 years producing an app and everyone keeps saying, when is your app coming? Chad, were we working on an app like 7 years ago, 5 years ago? My problem with the apps, and Al does more because he manages the lab, so his team does a lot of the lookups. There are a lot of apps that are easily accessible in the marketplace today that are not worth the couple bucks you pay to sign up for them. The values just don't match what we see here in our laboratory. So now everyone has an app and they're all running, and there's other apps that have really nice margins built in for the processor or the smelter, double digits. So I'm not afraid to say our program is like, if you send in, may I go ahead and pitch just for shamelessly, right? If you send in a 100 to 499, you're going to get back a certain amount. If you send in 500 to 999, you're going to get it back 1 point more. And if you send in 1,000 or more, you get an extra point back.
Explain that, because you just went over some people's heads. I know what you're meaning, but you need to explain that better.
All right. So nice to tell all of our competition our process and our program, right? But you know how transparent I am, so.
Numbers, let's just use numbers. If 90% is a normal number and then you get above a certain quantity, then you can go to 91% return.
Yes, exactly.
An extra 1% return on, so your fee goes from X to X minus 1 if you have a higher batch is what it is.
Tim, my partner and my husband, he often says the early payment that we give you as just kind of like a guarantee or a deposit, so you can keep working while we wait for the test results, is probably at least what you're used to getting. And then that back end that comes in when the recovery is known is probably the true value. It's the part that you're leaving on the table normally.
Yep.
And that way you can go on doing your business if you want to. We actually, our program has 3 payment options. You can take the early payment. You can wait the 30 to 45 days until we have the final assay back, or you could wait the whole time, which is like about 100, 120 days until your load actually becomes physical metal, and you can sell it later on. Or you can do what Chad did and open up a pool account and pool the metal and not have it hit your books as a taxable event, and then wait till you need a loader or you want to buy a building and watch the market. That would be speculating, but you can sell it at a later time, pay taxes on it at a later time, use it as an investment, retirement, whatever you choose. But we put you in the driver's seat of your commodity. You can sell it whenever you want to, basically, and take payment. It involves hedging, right? We physically have to price the metal. I would tell you it's an educational experience to go from selling spot to selling, nickel on the barrelhead to selling on assay. But we try to take something that's super complicated and make it really simple and accessible to everyone. We believe in the power of education. We believe you need a partner that you can trust. We believe you need a process you can trust and a program you can trust, but we also believe in the power of education. So 80% probably sell in the first week or two that they take the early payment. And then the rest take it at 30 to 45 days, and very few, maybe 2%, 1 or 2% hold metal to outturn and beyond. It just matches our mission. I mean, obviously we're a company that exists to do business, but we really do try to get the recycler the most from their converter with a process that they can trust. I mean, we really exist to create recycling solutions that are bottom line more profitable to the recycling community. And you just need to really get with a process you can trust, a partner you can trust, and a program you can trust.
Thanks for watching. We hope you got some great information about converter recycling out of the podcast, and we hope you choose us at United Catalyst Corporation to work with. We have 2 services that we offer daily. If you'd like to get our e-newsletter on the markets and the things that affect the market, go ahead and text us 60-second report to 864-834-2003. If you'd like to get precious metal prices texted twice a day to your phone, text Daily Double to the same number, 864-834-2003. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we look forward to working with you.